Hey kids, it's That's Happening Thursday. So today we're going to talk about stuff that's currently happening. So you may have heard, or maybe not, but things are going down in Iceland right now. Volcanic occurrences of geologic intrigue. If I hadn't mentioned this before, I'm a geologist. That's my formal education and training. And I have a special focus and a special interest in natural disasters. So I actually just learned about this today through this video.
The most likely scenario is that there is going to be an eruption. And basically, they're saying that it can erupt anywhere on that 12-kilometer long line of magma intrusion. And it could happen on parts of that line, or it could happen on the entire line of 12 kilometers. And given the course of activity yesterday and how rapidly things evolved, that indicates that there is a lot of magma supply and that there is a lot of pressure. And neither is good news. The town of Grindavik was evacuated last night because it happens to lie right on top of that line. So now the town of Grindavik is in grave danger, and actually the magma intrusion goes even out under the ocean. So if it will erupt undersea, then there will be an explosive eruption, which is also not good news. So the whole situation is just very grave, and we're just monitoring the situation very closely, hoping for the best.
And then I thought, yeah, geology and earth science don't get a ton of public attention. Unfortunately, a lot of the news stories and scientific info around this is trapped behind paywalls. So with what I was able to find from a real brief search, I'm here to hopefully explain it simply. Now, I really like geology, which of course I should because I'm a geologist, so if this video does reasonably well, then I think it could be the beginning of a new series called Rocks for Jocks, where we explain geologic things in simple terms. So we'll see how this video does. So in that social media video that you just saw, we see this map. But hold on, you say, volcanoes are mountains, not lines. Well, this is a dike, which is a type of magmatic intrusion. There are several different ways volcanism initiates, but it always involves magmatic intrusion into rock. So you have a large pocket of magma that comes up or intrudes into the surrounding rock of the crust. This is called a pluton or a batholith, or in some cases a laccolith, but we're not here to get super technical. This is explained simply. Sometimes branches will come off of this intrusion. These are either known as sills or dikes, usually based upon their orientation. There's a lot of images of these cracks coming through the town of Grindavik, I think, or Grindavik, probably Grindavik. We'll go with that one. Yeah, so there's a lot of images of these cracks spreading through the town, which is literally the intrusion of this particular dike spreading the crust apart as it comes up through the crust towards the surface. And this is really dramatic looking, and the fact that it runs straight through the middle of a town really makes it a unique occurrence and a more dramatic occurrence. I mean, normally this type of stuff doesn't really happen every day already, but to have it go through a city really kind of doubles that fact. So basically there are two different types of volcanic eruptions and two main categories that we can call explosive and effusive. Explosive are, well, they are explosive. And effusive eruptions are runny, kind of like the ones you would see in like a Hawaii type context where it flows kind of like water. Anyway, so like we see in the video again, we have this line on the map which represents the cracking and the like expanse of this dike as it rises. And of course the town of Grindavik has been evacuated, and there's a lot of talk on the news about the imminent danger and imminent eruption and such, which of course is pretty apparent. Whenever you're dealing with natural disasters, there's always going to be a certain amount of unknowns, a certain amount of factors and variables that we can't know for certain. We can only estimate to the best of our abilities. What's interesting about this current event here is that there is a potential for different types of eruptions. So we have the possibility of both an explosive and an effusive eruption. And here's why. If we look in the lower portion of this map here, we can see that the dike actually extends into the water here. And really it all comes down to where the magma decides to come out of the ground. It may come out in only a small portion of this cracking area. It may come out over the whole thing, which would be like a huge, which would honestly be pretty bad for the people in this town, but it would be really quite a spectacle of cataclysm that, again, we don't see every day. If the magma were to come out of the ground here, well, out of the ground on land, then that's where we're going to see our effusive, our less viscous, our more runny eruptions, where we're going to see kind of the classic Icelandic volcano with the fire fountains. And so what we'd be looking at there is a very aptly named fissure eruption, where we kind of have lava spewing up and fire fountaining out along this cracking feature, a fissure, as you know, well, as the name might already imply. Alternatively, if we have magma coming out in this southern portion under the water, then we can get what's called a phreatic explosion, which is steam driven, and that's when a hot lava comes into contact with water, generates steam, and it goes boom. I'm sure you could debate this. I would say phreatic is certainly a more dangerous scenario because they can occur a lot of the time with less warning, and they're also a lot harder to avoid because it happens a lot quicker in an instant. So again, we have the potential for two different eruptive types, so that's going to be really interesting here in the coming days. Okay, so I think what we'll do now is we can go into this video and look at some of these comments and just kind of address a few of them, you know, for scientifically educational purposes. So this person at the top here says, I mean, what's done is done, but why build a city on a volcanic line? Well, this reply sums it up pretty well. The volcanic line wasn't there when they built the city. It's new. It's just happened. And of course, Iceland is a very small place, and it is extremely volcanically active. So, I mean, you're going to run into some volcano-adjacent problems eventually. This guy says, just happens to be near a nuclear power plant. Not exactly sure what he's referencing there. Another, okay, okay, well, I'm not sure that one actually needs to be addressed. We talking like a small explosion or like nuclear winter? Well, relatively globally speaking, we're talking a very small explosion. No nuclear winter from this. I know it sounds crazy, but all that energy is coming from the sun. The world's about to change, and it has nothing to do with us and everything to do with solar cycles and the sun. That's not entirely... Okay, that's not exactly scientifically accurate. This is due to processes that are coming from heat within the Earth, which isn't really generated by the sun. So, no, not sure where you're going with that. Not exactly. Has nothing to do with cycles of the sun either. It does have to do with cycles of the Earth, so to speak, the motion of tectonic plates and such. You can also have hotspots. Iceland is cool because it actually sits upon a hotspot and a tectonic plate boundary, both of which can independently generate volcanism. So that's why it's also a really tiny island, volcanically derived, of course. So that's why we see all this wonderful volcanic activity on Iceland. Climate change. Well, yes, certainly. Volcanism can have climate effects. In 1992, I think, Mount Pinatubo actually caused the global temperature to drop by a few degrees for a couple of years, so that's very nice. Will an eruption affect air travel? You know, it might. This one probably won't, certainly, unless it's like the volcano itself is by an airport. But I'm assuming this person is talking about ash clouds in the sky, which can actually be extremely dangerous to aircraft, jam up the jet engines and cause them to crash. There was a case where that did happen. I think everyone was fine, but don't quote me on that. Will this eruption affect air travel? Probably not. Okay, well, that was just a real quick video that I thought I would capitalize on, trends to acquire videos for YouTube. Just, you may have heard all these stories in the news and been wondering, hey, what's going on? So, maybe you went to YouTube to look it up, and hopefully my video is where you've landed. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Until next time.